Right,
Breathe.
welcome everyone to podcast number 2. I've decided to name it Help I'm Trapped in the Abyss because I can't think of names.
Help, I'm trapped in the abyss.
Right, so with us today we have myself, we have Panda slash Exile, Sam, Sev,
Hi.
and Night Sharda Gay.
How dare you?
Hopefully that we will have some good topics, good discussion today. Let's start off with a fairly basic topic. Your favourite cars in road racing, whether that's because of how they looked or how they drove. We're going to go in terms of to help the voice chat flow. We're going to go in order of the group DM. So Panda, you first, and then all the way to me at the end. So Panda, do you want to start us off?
No, not really. I have to have time for putting me under pressure here.
Well, we can skip you and go to Sam.
Yeah, go to Sam. Come back to me later.
Alright, Sam, what about you then?
I really liked the Red Bull. I think it was in season 2 of FS because I didn't lag in it. That was a good point, and it just felt really nice to drive. I was like getting podiums and like quite up there in all the races I did. So it was really fun to drive. So that's probably my favourite car. It also looked very nice as well. So
It wasn't a bad car, no. It was, I mean, it was a mesh. It was Flight's mesh. So it wasn't going to look shocking, although Flight's meshes have been wavy sometimes.
it was very light as well.
That's a very good word to describe it, I must say.
Yeah, Sev?
I'd probably say the season 1 to 3 cars just because I do like the modern cars, even though it probably when you rebuild them for season 10 and 12, they'll probably look a lot better than they did. But yeah, at the moment, probably the RRC season 1 to 3 cars, and then I'd probably say the ones which I made for my game, which was open a few months ago, just because modern cars.
Wait, you made a game? I don't remember.
Yeah, I made a
F1
Formula 1 game.
Don't
A bit like
remember
the
that.
Hangout.
Do not remember that.
Well, those not X cars then.
Yeah, they were X's
Oh.
cars.
Weren't you using those for Reefer as well? The failed reboot.
I was using a different model. He sent me 2 models.
Oh,
I was
okay.
using the newer model for Reefer and the older model I was using for the game because it had less part count.
Well, this is something I've never thought about. But if I was to say things off the top of my head, well, the FZ cars are all FS cars from now look very nice, particularly the FZ ones because Ek and JP are outstanding at building cars. And well, my season 4 Tyrrell's got to be in there, and I think the season 8 cars look very nice as well. So yeah.
So
Not
you,
much else to say.
you pick your favourites off of looks, do you?
Mostly, and also driving experience. The
So-
season 4 and 8 cars are very nice to drive, and have set them off a look.
I wouldn't particularly pick, in terms of like cars to drive, I wouldn't pick the season 8 cars for RRC as the best I've driven. They have kind of a weird, like, unfortunately I think it's a sort of side effect to how I ended up setting them up for the new physics, but they have a bit of a weird like back end problem when you touch grass and things like that, which makes them a little less rewarding to drive. For me, I'd have to put it, obviously I've driven ridiculous numbers of cars in various leagues, so I'd have to put it in a couple of categories, or in a few categories, sort of from the beginning to now. In terms of the early days, I would go for, initially, obviously the initial pick is the season 3 OHR car. It might, if it was still drivable today, it would probably handle like crap. But my early memories of it was that it was just generally really fun to drive. It was very slow, but of all the cars I tested, because I tested for Zephyr, and this was before they had their 75 million density Gripmobile that would just flip all over the place. This was I don't know, it was like the blank pane, but nowhere near as good. It wasn't very nice to drive. And I tested for Renault, And honestly, the Renault wasn't as quick, and I didn't think it was as quick at the time, even compared to the original Zephyr. But it was just so much nicer to drive. The Zephyr also had wheel wobble problems, really bad ones. The Renault had some, but as long as you didn't overdrive a corner, it wasn't a problem. So that was first pick. Second pick would be probably HRO Season 2 cars. Objectively, they'd be shit to drive, but I just generally enjoyed how they did.
Those were yummy. Those were very yummy.
They were understeery as shit, but if you adopted the right driving tactics, you know, the good old flick spin and shit like that, they were good.
Oh, they were great.
Obviously, I know plenty of people didn't like them. You heard Lego and Morjack constantly begging people to teach them the art of the flick spin.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I asked once, Phantom, can you teach you how to flick spin? Alright, see you later then.
It was an open but guarded secret for those who didn't know
My
how to
flick
do it.
spinning was not like it wasn't really flick spinning. It was more just using momentum, and it worked at most. Well, when you got to like
Well,
Excelsior,
it was letting it slide through a corner.
Mm.
That was the main thing, and yeah, that was a good fun car to drive. Moving on a few bits, so after that, most of the cars I drove were okay, but there were some dodgy things here and there. You know, this was a period of like IEL and things like that. IEL was alright, but nothing special. I think the next really couple of special cars to drive were probably my favourite was the Season 2 FS car, the Fusion. That was really good fun to drive. Probably my favourite actually of all time. Just very stable, very fast, very good. And I was happy with how the looks of the car turned out. I think it was probably one of the better cars I'd done for. That was only my third car I'd done, but I think it was the best I'd done.
Are you serious?
Mhm.
Wow, that was a that was an impressive job. Then.
I haven't done like car creation. The first car creation car well, actually no, it was my fourth because of the Kojima, which was an app. That was horrible to drive. It was alright, but it was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, no, it was only my fourth one into that point. But yeah, that was really good fun. And then now, it's probably the current WTSI cars. They remind me quite a lot of FS. It is like a PGS on version of the FS cars, quite slow, boaty, but also quite fun at the same time.
Mam is a happy boy now.
I think, yeah, they really suit me. I'm sure they don't suit others, but I really enjoy them. I like those sort of cars, where it's very predictable, but if you use the right driving techniques, you can get a lot out of them. So yeah, I don't know if anybody has any more comments on that area, or we move on.
I actually have an idea on what I want to say.
Alright.
So for my best handling car, I quite liked the GIWS style. Not the actual GIWS cars, I thought they weren't that nice because they understood like how that kind of style of car. I think the FS70s ones were a bit of a streamlined version. And for best looking car, I'm gonna be very biased here and say either my 2000s car or Jan's 2019 cars.
Yeah, his 2019 cars do look good. I don't think they've been used much in anything. I know you are doing some game-related stuff with them.
The FS car is the Mercedes.
Okay. But yeah, they do look very good.
For future cars, I'm looking forward to the. I'm probably going to continue to race in FZ, and the FZ car looks very nice for the next few seasons to come. So looking forward to driving that if we're talking about future cars.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly look forward to developing my FS car for next season. I think I have a lot of ideas of what to do and liveries and shit like that. Yeah, so if that is that, we shall move on to another car-related topic. But what sort of handling characteristics in the car suit you? Whether that's really stiff, really light and slidey, you know, that sort of area. Again, starting with Panda.
Well, I really like cars you can just chuck into the corner and not lose a lot of them. Once again, going back on the GIWS style of car. Because you could do that, while if you compare it to, say, the 90s RRC cars, they would lose speed mid-corner. So just ones where you can keep up speed.
Fair enough. Sam?
I really liked the Season 4 to Season 6 RRC cars, like the slidey all over the place, just drifting around the corners. They were really fun to drive. Really enjoyed them. Probably like my favourite handling style. So, yeah.
Sev? Is he dead? Okay, Knight, we'll move on to you and then see if Sev comes back.
I know I will get battered if I say A chassis cars.
Not really, no. I mean, the thing is, like, that's not... A chassis isn't a handling characteristic. It's a,
Yeah,
a chassis.
that's
It's a
what I was
chassis,
going
but...
to say, yeah.
I mean, you can mention something about A chassis.
I mean,
You know,
A
that
chassis
area.
is just more realistic, I guess. But handling-wise, I mean... I guess cars which... I guess I actually like heavier cars a bit more. Not as heavy as like the IRL cars. Those are a bit too heavy for me, for my liking. But like pretty heavy cars and like I think not as extreme as Ek. Ek's like chucking it into corners and sliding it around, but somewhat along those lines, but not as aggressive, if that's the word.
Yeah. I think for me it's a bit of a balance between what you and Panda said. I like cars that you can chuck in, but I also like cars that are quite predictable, quite stable. So for example, the WTSI cars, they're quite slow, but if you drive them in a particular way, you can get them to sort of snap out a little bit. And just that extra little bit of snap, really suits me in cars. So I think, again, Brick comes back to the HRO point. They were really stiff, but if you adopted the right driving techniques and style, you could get them to become a lot more responsive than they were before. So those sort of cars I do like, the slightly old ones, the slightly unconventional handling ones tend to suit me a bit more. So that's me really. Sev, did you hear the question? I don't know if you
Yeah, I heard the question. Like Panda, I think cars which you can really like slide around corners and sort of feel like you're pushing the limits to. Fast cars especially. I feel like with slow cars you do definitely get better racing and it's a lot easier to be precise with them, but I just find it a lot more entertaining to drive fast cars which are really slidey around tracks, which you can sort of feel like the pace difference. Whereas with the slow cars, such as the ones I drove last weekend, you couldn't really tell if it was like a slow or a fast lap until the time I told you when you crossed the line. So I sort of missed the old like fast, really slippery cars. But yeah, I don't really have a preference. I just enjoyed the faster cars personally.
Yeah, there are sort of I know quite a few, like Phil for example, really preferred the Season 1 to 3 cars. I mean, they weren't slippery at all, but they were certainly on the fast section of things. So nice, fair enough. Different things do suit different people. And on the topic of what suits different people, what about tracks? What sort of tracks do you like? What I guess not favorite tracks, but long flowing ones or the sharper ones. And again, we'll start with Panda again. We're doing this order the same way each time. So if you want to talk without me prompting you, do.
Chuck a fast chicane in and I'll be happy.
Is that all? 3 words.
That's all.
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
I really like street circuits. That sort of track. Street circuits are like my cherry on a cake. I really like hairpins and tight tracks, though. I don't know why, but it's just
Any
really
particular
nice.
examples?
Monaco in RRC.
Oh,
Oh no.
Please don't kill me. But I really
Weird
no.
flex, but okay.
I really enjoyed the track, like the tightness of it and like the handling of the cars as well.
no.
really
I'm in
fun.
total agreement with the fact like that Monaco track wasn't bad to drive. I'm just remembering how many fucking times I got taken out though. It's in the 40s. I had to come from. I was a lap down after 10 laps because I got flung onto the wall.
I remember. Oh no, sorry, my bad.
I'm sorry. Coming through the field was, oh my! It's harder than shutting my brother up.
That's a big one. Yeah, I remember sitting at turn 1, and obviously everyone goes through. A few people died, and then I just saw you stuck in the barrier. I can't remember if you were on top or just through it.
No, on top.
And luckily Beatles wasn't local at that point, so I could get you freed. Otherwise,
my car was practically a 90-degree angle, like the undercarriage. I don't know.
just floor work.
Just floor. Okay, the floor was like in the wall, but the front of my car was on the wall, and it took you about it took you a few seconds to locate it, and then a bit longer to get me free. Almost fell off the world as well. That was fun.
Don't remember that bit, but
I remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Someone fell off a world. It was pretty funny.
Monaco's a fun circuit to hot lap at. Not so much a fun circuit to race. Did you mention what one suits you, Seb? Or did we kind of skip over you? Yeah, we did. We haven't got to you yet, or Knight.
No. The tracks I like. I don't really have a preference between street circuits, like open circuits, fast, slow ones, like the corners. It just depends on how easy it is to, I'd say, get clean passes. That's what really makes a circuit for me. Just if it's something like Monaco, where it's fun to hot lap at, but passes are nearly impossible, of course, taking Roblox physics into account. It's when you've got other cars on the track, it's just difficult in general. But stuff like Silverstone, Sweden that we did on Sunday, just tracks which are very easy to just enjoy and race around and overtake people. I think I've got a preference to them.
And Knight?
Oh yeah, I still have my turn. Sorry, I was speaking about Monaco, so I thought it was.
No, we went on a bit of a tangent from Sam.
Anyway, oh god, I have no clue. I guess. I mean, obviously, overtaking is a nice thing, especially when you're as shit at qualifying as I am. Yeah, I guess tracks which are not just enjoyable to hot lap on, but enjoyable to battle on as well, I guess.
I think my answer for people who vaguely know me isn't gonna be at all surprising. Street circuits. I don't really have. I don't mind race. I'll race at any circuit, but certainly I've had significantly more success at street circuits than most others. Obviously Rio was a standout one for me. I quite enjoyed Phoenix in IRL, things like that. Generally, the short, sharp corners I can extract the most from. Longer ones I can still do, but it requires a bit more. It's less intuitive, and it requires a lot more learning from me. So very much street circuits are my specialty. I guess HR I was to thank for that, I guess. In the early days.
You were actually beatable towards the end of the season, though.
Yeah. In season 2, I think that's just because I stopped giving a shit.
Because
once I secured the championship, I didn't win another race that season. So I think mentally I just shut down and was like, I don't care anymore.
Especially at Silverstone, you had like a 10-second lead. Not fucking hell.
Battersea Park.
Battersea Park, yeah, that's the one. You kind of said you had like a 10-second lead and you just started making mistakes. You're like, fuck it. Might as well have some fun while I can. That kind of mentality, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Formula E around Silverstone, yes.
Now the next one is, what disciplines of motorsport would you like to see future leagues return to, or what ones that perhaps haven't been ever done before? Although I don't think there are many.
I assume we're starting with me now, right?
Yep.
Okay. I would quite like to see bike racing. I know it's not an easy thing to do because you've got to do a ton of scripts and stuff. I don't think there are any MotoGP leagues out there at the minute, and I think that'd be quite interesting.
We did bicycle racing at Silverstone.
Yeah, but that's not motorbike.
Tour de RRC.
Someone, I think who was it? Someone recorded a video. I think it was Tao. Not even Tao, I can't remember.
Oh my god! I
Someone
remember
recorded a video of it, of us doing that at Silverstone. That was funny.
I'm sorry,
There
but
is a video of it somewhere.
the one I remember the most was definitely post-race Sochi Season 2. First of all, you had the bikes, and you had the ones which, if you hit into anything, jumped up to space. And one time, I think it was on Teo, I just landed and his tires fell off and everything. And then you built like this temporary course going over all the bridges and shit. I don't know if you remember. Yes. What Sam just posted is a culmination of life.
Anyway, getting back on topic. What about you, Sam?
And I have completely forgotten the question.
I'm disappointed.
What?
What disciplines would you like to see in road racing?
Ah, yeah, that's it. I'd like to see more British touring car championship leagues and like maybe V8 supercar, because I have never seen a V8 supercar league, and it's quite interesting. Also, British touring car and everything.
There are a couple of touring car leagues, although both of them have their flaws. There's RTCC, but that seems to run more not on a proper championship format. It just runs random events every now and again. And there's, what is it, ITCR, ITTC? I can't remember the acronym. But there's that other one that we went to.
Was that the one we went to the other day where they ran full collide?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's a bit questionable.
That I know they're like starting up again, but there aren't any quality ones that I know of. I think that there used to be some before this community, sort of like the first row racing community, if you will. But yeah, that's a pretty good shout. Sevy boy.
I'm gonna be completely ascended here and say boat racing. We need more boat racing.
Just come to IRL.
Oh.
You race boats there.
No. Like actually, like boat racing, big old chunker, just boats.
Are we talking about like
Actual water.
Water. No, the F1 boats are like fucking tugboat.
Oh no, the F1. There's always an F1 raft boat race. I don't know which.
No, there's a proper boat racing series called Formula 1.
Let's go.
Is there actually?
Let's go. Float my boat. Let's go on that game and we'll 1v1.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the pre-season, for like the break after season 8, can we have boat racing, please?
Yeah. That's a really good shout.
Just
Chassis boat racing.
just have some like non-collided like invisible wheels below the surface and like non-collided water.
Paddles work in Roblox with the water.
I could probably do boat racing in a really B-Tech way.
Look, you
It's
just
the
change the
2004
wheels to
Singapore
paddles
Jeep.
and then yeah. Yeah, just change the wheels to paddles and it works in water. I promise.
Or what I could do is just make the wheels invisible, make a boat, and have like a block of just like slightly transparent blue, and then B-Tech.
Disappointed because
No
people
friction.
Actually watching would probably have no idea what I'm on about. Can you please put that screenshot in the podcast?
It's a bit hard, but
2004 Singapore Jeep.
I will try. If I can, I need to create.
fucking hell.
And create new, and then I need to go and find the image. Anyway, so Knight, if you want to give us some more ideas while I find this.
Mandatory gay marriage.
That's not a category of motorsport.
Says it no, okay. Probably. I don't know. I guess more. In terms of F1, I guess more availability to younger drivers, although we have quite a few coming through the ranks right now. And just in terms of motorsport, to be honest, I don't think there's much more we can improve. I mean, the cars will gradually get faster, of course. No, I'm really uninspired right now, so I have no idea.
I think I know that Jan is starting one up with Cone. But some more endurance or GT based leagues. There are a few. That's Alex's league. But I'd like to see more that are focused on just one of the categories. So either just the protos or just the GTs.
May I just add something here?
Mhm.
Let's have a Red Bull Air race.
That's for what? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Have every fucking every type of vehicle. But let's have the multi-class boats versus planes.
That's how we should do the RRC soapbox race.
Oh yes.
Soapbox
anyone
racing would
remember-
actually be pretty fun if we.
Everyone has to
Oh,
go.
yes.
Okay, we can build the track, and everyone has to go in. They have to build their own soapbox. It can be however stupid.
I'm not
and
really
then-
sure how you would do it. You'd have to probably do it through a bit of scripting. Because
Does
obviously,
anyone
the way tank, maybe you could do it. I don't think you. The problem is you wouldn't get much. The way you'd have to do it with tank chassis, you do get barely any control, and it's basically just ice sledding rather than
Yeah.
soapbox.
That's pretty much what soapbox racing is, but
It's not on ice, that's for sure.
no, but it's not really like you have control of it.
The closest thing we had to that was Bill's washing machine.
That's nothing like it.
They had engine, probably. Or not.
the drum. The drum powered the wheels.
I'm sure Phil remembers that fondly.
I don't know if he remembers it fondly. He probably he'll remember it.
I still have that screenshot. It was my profile picture for like 6 months. You just in a washing machine.
They run better with the Calgon, you know. Right, I think we're I think we're done with that topic. So
Boat racing.
right, next, what do you think is the next thing needed for a racing to continue improving, continue advancing?
Ooh.
Well, the first question is will people still be using Poundland laptops?
Of course.
Well, then we probably can't do much at the minute. I mean, I'd quite like to see some more like scripts come in, you know, like tire wear, I think that'd be interesting if done right. Like, I know the whole point of in OHR Season 6 and 5, it was meant to add strategy and, you know, unpredictability, but it just ended up with everybody one-stopping on pretty much the same lap anyway. So, maybe a fuel script as well. I know Gran did one, though it was pretty flawed. But
HRO, there was a battery script, but the problem with that is everyone has the equal one. So everyone pits at the same time again.
Also, the problem is talking about both of those. Gran's original fuel script, yeah, it was just a free model one. He did do a second one for the planned Season 2, which never happened, which was a hell of a lot better. And you actually slowed down gradually when you run out of fuel and didn't just fucking stop. And in terms of the battery script, I think the problem was, Formula E, obviously, any car, you have modular throttle, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4%, etc. Whereas, because, you know, we race on keyboards, it's 0 or 100. So there's no conserving of battery unless you want to be driving into walls repeatedly. So that's where the battery script falls down. You can't conserve enough, so everyone ends up just running the same race irrelevant of the battery script.
Also, if you press the flip tool enough, you gain 1%.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. I would often... What I would do is to get more battery, or to keep my battery at... Because you lose like 3% getting to the grid, is I would reverse out of the grid, turn 180 degrees so I was continuing to reverse down the grid, get in my grid spot, and then spin around 180 degrees. And the thing is, it didn't look like I was trying to get any more battery, because I was just driving backwards. So it was good. I wasn't blatantly being an ass, but I was...
cheater. I'm gonna call you out for this.
Hey,
Who wasn't being an ass, Nick?
he only said you couldn't just sit there spinning forever. I only did it 180 degrees. It's all good. But There were some people who went to. You could go over
Oh,
100.
God.
There was no limit to 100%. You could go over it, so you could get like 110. Which some
I had
people
100
did.
I had 107 starting one race, but I had to abandon that because it's more than suspicious if you stay out one lap more than everyone else.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam.
I'd like to see more young, well, not young drivers, but new drivers coming into road racing. Like, I think you mentioned it in the last podcast, but like, some people are getting a bit older now. They've been in it for a while, and there's not a lot of people coming in at the moment. There's more people going out.
Sam, I think the
Yeah.
last thing we want is more 6-year-olds.
Oh, no,
all the 6-year-olds, get Betsy on the go, Sam.
oh, yes.
They're just watching In the Night Garden as they race, and then when you say the race is at and then when you say the race is at 7 o'clock, that's too late.
But yeah, on a serious note, people like Mythic is like he's 15, 16.
Yes, a young 18-year-old of me.
Oh. But yeah, you know what I mean. Just new people in road racing, because yeah, what we need at the moment.
Sev.
Oh, wait, what?
Shut up.
What was the question? I was too busy thinking about 6-year-olds.
What is your racing you need
6-year-old.
to advance?
Oh yeah. I think I'd say more like, what's the word for it? Just something which helps it, not take as much of a big of an impact when Roblox does one of these updates, which really like shifts everything. There should be like some way, like I'm not sure how it'd be possible because Roblox keeps their physics updates to the large developers and the large developers only until the update comes out. But I think if we have some way where we can like be confident that one of these updates isn't gonna like sort of destroy cars or like destroy a type of car, then that'd be a big step in keeping it alive anyways.
Fix motorcycles and start MotoGP leagues.
Fix motorcycles, fix boats.
No, honestly, I think MotoGP stuff isn't really a thing in road racing yet, and that I think would be a very nice addition to it because, well, it's fast, it's fun, I guess, if you're not on asphalt. So yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Chang is a very enjoyable circuit.
Obviously, I was having to attend to parents because they're ill at the moment, so I didn't hear any of that. But I think for road racing to improve, I certainly agree with the more scripts and whatnot. I think just some more leagues in general, some more variety, and just generally an improvement to, I guess, organisation of a lot of leagues is what is needed. A lot of leagues tend to struggle from just being a little disorganised, and that more organisation would certainly improve a league humongously. So that's my 2 cents, whatever currency you work in.
Before we move on to the next question, I have a little mini question to
Okay.
You know how Knight and I have been talking about MotoGP?
Mm-hmm.
What would be the equivalent of what Fenati did in For those who don't know, Fenati is the guy who pulled the brakes in Moto on the other rider.
I don't. That's that is a hard one.
A rocket. Come on, rocket. Nothing. Not.
I don't know if Sam wants to answer that one first.
I have no idea.
Exactly what I was expecting.
Sev, do you have any? I have a couple, but I'll let you.
Not really. No, not really.
Knight. Am I the only one who has ideas on this one?
I have no ideas, no.
I would say the equivalent would either be Dala sort of rigging cars so that either his is better or other people have to drive inferior equipment. Or there's things like, do you remember in OHR2 when Marlowe was basically terrorizing Lego the whole race to have Sam win? Things like that. And then
he rocketed me.
I guess an equivalent also is like when during a race, if someone's really wanting someone to balls up, they'll start putting shit in their private messages, just spamming them, things like that.
I think I would go with the private message one.
It's a tough one because I don't think many, or from my experience, I haven't seen many people act maliciously that way. Obviously, you'll get the obvious, people have just not braked for a corner and go straight on to wipe them out. Actually, I know one exactly like that. But from my own experience, RRC Season 0, you've all heard this before if you haven't.
Season 0?
Oh, is this a story with F1 Legend by any...
This is the F1 Legend story. So Season 0, when Captain ran it, I call it Season 0 because it's obviously not run by me at the time. So we're at Australia. It's not Melbourne. It's this weird street circuit hybrid. It's kind of like a Melbourne, but not at all. And at the end of the lap, you have a left, a 90-degree left, right, left, right, chicane section, and which goes basically in a mass. It's like a square with a chicane right at the end. So if you want to, and this was before Captain knew how to use timing systems and CC systems, and there wasn't a wall there either. So you could cut the whole thing. And I'd done something to annoy F1 Legend the previous race. I don't know what, but he was not happy bunny. And so I took the corner normally. He was a lap down.
Yes,
And he proceeded to cut the whole corner to put me in the floor. And successfully put me in the floor. And I was out of the race from the lead. Well, he didn't lose anything. He was still in the race as well. He didn't even DNF from it. I was the only one who got put in the floor. So that would probably be the most similar incident to that. Whatever, Fanati, Roman. I didn't hear the first name. I can't remember it.
I didn't say the first name, but yeah, it's like Romano Fanati.
Yeah. That's the most similar incident I can think of from my own experience. Maybe Scouser trying to go a lap down and then bombing back into me, but that wasn't an intentional. That wasn't an intentional kill. That was just Scouser's brain malfunctioning a little bit.
That's why I didn't celebrate my first win.
And the Season 4 cars were bouncy when well, both of them were, 4 and 5 were bouncy when you hit a ball, so it just launched him straight back into me. So that's the most similar one I can think.
Yeah, that's why I didn't celebrate my first win, because it wasn't fully won by that, but it was partially.
Yeah. So the next one we have is what's your opinion on public road racing games, and what is your personal favourite of all time?
All time.
Wow.
I have an answer immediately.
Yeah, but I'm first, so I mean I quite like them. They're fun depending on what game it is. Obviously, they really vary in quality. For example, F1 2018 Gold was a steaming pile of shit. Whilst I forgot it's called RFIA F1 2019, whatever. The F1 2019 game, yeah. Whatever it's called.
I'm not going to say the French name.
But yeah, it looks like quite a cool game and they're really well scripted. Though I have to give my personal favourite to the Hangout just because I don't want to say nostalgia, but nostalgia.
Ah, yes.
I don't want to say nostalgia, but nostalgia. Ah, yes.
Yeah, I don't know any other word to say. It was only like 2 years ago.
Apparently Wes is working on a new one as well, so.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
I think my favourite public game is F1 2013, the Roblox GP. That was the first like F1 Roblox game I ever played, and it was just great. Like the way the cars looked, it was just like the curves. It was just really
one made
fun.
by the Deadly Doom book, Charlie.
No, I think it's made by 2 F1 team or someone like that.
2014 and 15 was Doombug before he got ill.
I swear he made a 13.
Maybe.
But yeah,
Bloomberg
I
was
think,
making games for years.
I think public games are a great idea because, like, at league races, you've got loads of people come in and say, "Oh yeah, can I drive?" And like, public games are the sort of thing they need if they're like not good enough to get into league race and just going on public games and smashing people off. You know what they like to do.
How to reach level 100? Just go into a public game, make some kids sad.
But yeah, I think they're great. Like, people put some loads of time and effort into them, and they're just really fun. So,
Seth, this is your turn.
Sorry. Okay. I think fuck's sake, right? Probably F1 2014 made by the Deadly Doombug. Just because I think I spent like I don't know, a long time playing that. And I'm gonna sneeze, hold up, it's coming. I don't know, I feel like, you know, the Hangout and that game by the Deadly Doombug both had like the same sort of play time from me, but I don't know, I just remember a lot of nostalgia, I guess, from 2014, a bit less than the Hangout. I know I do like the Hangout because it's what inspired me to start off RFCC/Reefer, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed F1 2014 more.
The Hangout because Tail has admin.
Literally the only reason. And also just general opinions on them, on the games.
Then
No, nothing.
No, my brother came in. I would say, I mean, I like him and all, but like, some of the drivers there, like, holy shit. I mean, I don't know if it's laggy or anything, but one time I was on FRA, and I went round for 2 laps, and the guy still hadn't gone past turn 3. He was at turn 3 when I started, and he was at turn 3 when I ended. And from what I was concerned, he was trying. So, I mean, it's nice and all, and like, it's a good way to, kind of, like, it's a good place to go if you want to have some fun, but it has its downsides, like everything.
Yeah, I think that was basically what I'd have said. In that they are good fun, if done well, but obviously, whenever you go to these public games, there's absolutely no quality control, so you can get the biggest of bums.
The biggest of bums.
Are you a bum?
You can get some
humongous batty.
You know, you may get some bad drives in road racing, but they will be nothing compared to those who do public games. I think my favorite. I mean, you know, since I joined Roblox, I have been messing around in public games, you know, since 2011. So, I guess the original one, you know, obviously Deadly Doom, but everyone knows his games if you do road racing. I started off with his 2011 game. God, how shit that probably was. And that was obviously good fun. The one that always stands out in my mind, though, do you know the guy who did the old flight games where you'd have like the hand gliders and the like rocket things, the jetpack with wings and shit like that? I can't remember what the game's called, but we messed around with it a while ago and it's broken. It had like helicopters and things like that.
I have no idea.
I can't remember the guy's name, and unfortunately Roblox seems to have removed favourites, so I don't even know. Yeah, it's not, I can't even go to my favourites. But it was that that game, and the same guy who made that made a Formula 1 demo game. So it was kind of like it was F1 chassis before they became popular, and that was really good fun. And at one point it was pretty popular. It was quite small servers. It was only like 10-player servers, but I certainly enjoyed that. I can't access my favourites, so God knows. That was always good fun. Obviously, there's things like Hangout, but you know, that's already been mentioned. That's always fun. It's obviously made by Wes, so it's going to be good. So that would be my opinion on that one. Next on my list is one that you might not all be able to answer, but those who have, or those who have thought of it, do you think that taking an occasional break from road racing scene, or having 4 or 5 weeks plus of not doing any racing, is helpful, or has it been a hindrance to you?
Yeah, it's helpful. There you go. It's helpful.
That it. All right.
That's it.
Short and sweet.
Yep. Sam?
I can't really answer that because I haven't taken a break, but I feel like if I do, it might help because doing it over and over and over sometimes gets repetitive. So sometimes you do need a break to, like,
Oh,
I don't know.
that's where
I don't know.
favourites have gone. They've gone into, like, just a general favourites category. Okay.
Yeah, so Seth, next.
Savvy boy.
No,
Seth.
you can just answer that.
Was it Crazy Man 32?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the game is
Oh, I have my
closed,
mic muted, shit.
which is
Right, go on, Knight. I'll say after you.
Alrighty. Well, I speak from experience. I have taken a break of 3 or 4 weeks. I've taken many like 1 week ones because my dad's an arsehole. It's definitely helpful because you just don't have to. You have a life on the weekends.
Do you now?
It's
know that.
it's just a bit as fun as road racing is. It can get a bit like I don't know how to fucking say it. All right, it's just nice to take a tedious fucking hell, yeah. And it's just nice to take a break. I mean, of course, you're coming back, but yeah, just refresh yourself a bit. Like if you're having shit weekends on shit weekend after shit weekend, just take a break.
Right. Also, speaking from experience, I'd say yes for the fact that it let me concentrate on other things and it just let me, you know, have a bit of a break on the weekends because it did take up most of my Sunday, especially. But I'd also say no because of how many seasons I've not been racing for, mostly because of my PC performance. I've sort of not, because everyone's had a gradual adaptation from season 3 to the season 8 cars, whereas I had one race in season 4 in between season 3 and season 8, and I didn't really learn much from that. So the season 8 cars were like a brand new experience for me. But whereas if you'd probably been, you know, driving every season, you would have had a more smoother like change over the fuck's sake. Right, that's a phone. Yeah, his phone's going off. You would have had a much smoother change, like going between cars, though. You wouldn't have been such a like shock as it was to me.
In terms of me, I've only really taken one decently long break, and that was between when I was moving house. I sort of decided to take it easy for a bit and not do anything. I think I didn't do any races for about a month or so. That's about 3 weeks a month. It wasn't long, but I certainly don't feel like I lost anything from it. I'm still as fast as I was before. I certainly, again, I echo the points that you made. It gave me a chance to just take it easy for a bit and not have to think about, oh, what's the next race? You know, what am I doing for it? What, you know, how good or bad am I at the track? And that was nice. But also, it was sort of a hindrance for me because I do enjoy road racing a hell of a lot. So it's almost like there was this feeling of I want to be racing when I wasn't. So a bit of both, but I didn't lose anything from it performance-wise. And we will move on to our final topic. I think most of us have owned teams, so we'll probably be able to give a pretty easy answer for this one. If you had to pick a driver as a team boss, would you prefer to take a fast and erratic driver, or a slower but more consistent one? And would the championship chances of that driver play a part in this? So, if they were not a contender, would you maybe go for the erratic driver, or vice versa?
Well, I mean, I'm speaking literally from like, just experienced this, and I think going for a more consistent driver would be better if you're not fighting for. If you're a huge risk taker, go for the erratic but quick driver. Though don't expect to get anything but pole position.
Lego. I guess Mythic as well to an extent.
I feel the opposite of Panda. I feel like the fast and more irrational, like erratic driver is probably better. I don't know why. It's just a gut instinct.
If
No wonder
Sammy
you don't
finished.
win No wonder you don't win any champions. No, I'm kidding.
Personally, I think I'd much rather go for, if by consistent you mean like consistent like top 8s, for example, then definitely the consistent driver over the one who might get like a win and then loads of like 15th places over the course of a season. I'd much rather just have the consistency related to my team rather than, okay, we won one race, but we're actually a back marker. Yeah, I'd much rather take the consistency and overall just the points rather than the actual just being able to say, yeah, we won one race, but nothing else.
Depends if there's crash walls.
Right.
But
Okay.
I guess overall I'd take consistency over raw pace. But I guess if a guy is clearly fast but not consistent, then and I want him in my team, I would. If I really wanted him in my team, I guess I'd try and train him to become more consistent. I mean, we have a good example. I'll just use CMD as a good example here. One of his drivers in FRS, he's always in the top 3 in practice, top 3 in qualifying, and he's always running. He's always running in first, but then he's crashed out of the last 4 races.
Yeah.
So
Is that Omnius?
no, it's Blaine.
Oh yeah.
It's nice to see a driver going fast, but then it's not nice to see him in the wall. I guess if with a consistent driver, you have a higher chance of seeing them fast than seeing them in the wall. So
I do go for the consistent drivers. Historically, that's what I've always done. But if a driver, is really fast and makes makes errors, then I will go for them as well. But they have to have a significant pace advantage versus their consistency. Again, Lego's probably a good example here. There have been races where he's been inconsistent, but he's had so much pace that he's sort of been able to override that a little bit. And like for example, HRO, I went for Phantom. I had Morjat for a bit, but that didn't really work out. And then Polska, and then WTSI is Tail and Phantom, and then in the other team is Captain, and Lego. So I will go. I said a combination of the two. It very much depends on the circumstances. I tend to go more for the proven drivers that I know where they lie. So I don't have a particular preference, just as long as I know what I'm in for. The only real exception to that was Bloxy back in FS Season 2.
turned out good for you though in the end.
Yeah, it's done alright. He's got a little bit of consistency to find, but he's proved to be a good driver so far. I just hope he can challenge it a little bit more in the future. So, are there any more comments to make, or any final words for this podcast?
Well, Sam kept asking you, I think, about that OHR question he mentioned earlier.
I was going to leave that for a future podcast, rather than do it in this one, unless you guys wanted to add an extra question onto the podcast in particular.
No, I'm okay.
So, any final comments to make?
Egg is good too.
David is gay.
And I guess
Right, okay.
I
We
agree
will
with
leave-
that one.
we will leave it there for today. Thank you
Hell
guys
yeah.
for hopping along to this. It was
No worries, you owe me $50.
okay. I will
Only
give you
50
those
cents.
in the form of a notepad saying $50.
Sure. You can pay me yesterday.
All right. We shall end it off.